Welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown to see a transition. Grab the VET S.O.S lifeline. Today's an exciting day. We have one of those pillars of the transition space joining us today. I know he hates me saying it, but this is one of those, first 10 named people that you get told about when you're in transition. When I came out, he was one of those that I was told, hey, you got to follow on LinkedIn. And he was definitely one of those, like I said, first 10 people I was told to follow. And, him and I have had the chance to talk a little bit over the years, but, just following his posts and the information that he's put out greatly enhanced my transition personally, and just absolutely love it. So I can't wait to jump into this conversation, get into, the work he's doing with the organization he's with, plus, maybe we'll hear a little bit about why he still likes to help people in transition. Maybe we'll learn something about it. So we'll see how it's going. But, when you bring on a big guest, you need to bring on big energy. And I had to go to the bullpen. I had to get King Scott on here. King's back with us this week, helping us while Keith is out. And I know he's bringing every ounce of that energy with him today. How you doing today, Kingsley?
Hey, Sean, I'm doing good. So like when you and it's winter time, it's not winter time right now, but when it's winter time, you gotta go start the car and let it warm up to get that energy. Hey, so I'm warmed up. I'm warmed up now. The car's nice and crispy and warm, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Hey, Matt, get ready to go full throttle because we're about to hit these afterburners. So thank you for coming out.
I'm excited.
All right, here we go. So today we're sitting down with Matt Quick, Sergeant Major retired. He leads Project Management Institute's efforts to train, certify, and prepare military members, veterans, and their families for employment, leveraging his 25 years of service in the Marine Corps and Army, including roles in retention and recruitment programs. After retiring in 2019, he has continued supporting military transitions through coaching, LinkedIn engagement, and professional development facilitation, while also managing ArmyReenlistment.com since 2003, and previously serving as a director of people and culture for military-focused businesses. Matt, like I said at the beginning, I love the work you do. I love your heart and how you continue to just, put out stuff that's going to help people transitioning. How you doing today, Matt?
Listen, today's Saturday. I'm not saying I'm hungover. No, I was kidding. Hey, it's a beautiful day here in North Carolina. We'll be out running the trails today. So listen, I'm energized. This is going to kickstart my day.
Absolutely love it, man. I'm so excited to have you on here, and I know we've talked for a while to get you on here. So I didn't realize, and until I'd read your bio, that you were multi-service. Which is fantastic because you actually then have potentially two transition stories to share. But so let's talk about your transition. How did that whole piece go? I'm assuming maybe the later one was better than the early one, but I'm not going to make any assumptions on your part. So let's hear them.
So really, I'm like a fifth or sixth generation service member, and I joined the Marine Corps first because my dad was a Marine, my brother was a Marine. I figured I'd do the Marine Corps too, but I get in the Marine Corps, I have a great time, but I realize these hands are more like Army hands. So eventually I got out of the Marine Corps because it was too hard for me, and joined the Army. But when I left the Marine Corps first, there was no transition. This was like 97, no transition. They said, here's your 214, good luck. But I'd already been speaking to an Army recruiter 9 months earlier, so I knew I was going to the Army. Again, these hands are Army hands. So I get there. So it wasn't really a transition. It was more like change of uniform. So that wasn't too hard at all. But honestly, the second transition from the military, from the Army, that came so fast. It came so fast. So one day I woke up in the morning. I was working the biggest Army Forces Command as the retention sergeant major up there. But we were doing so many other projects, like building a new physical fitness test for Forces Command. I was running the Security Forces Systems Brigade recruiting and retention program, traveling all the time. So I woke up one day and I told my wife, I'm retiring. She goes, cool, when? I'm like, I'm going today, telling the bosses I'm quitting. I can't do it anymore. I didn't realize it then, but I was burnt out. I had no idea. I just felt like overwhelmed the whole time. So that transition, the only reason I was successful in my transition in a 2-month period was because I had a mentor that I work with. I said, listen, Jeff Stitzel, I'm retiring. Help me out. He goes, I got you. So he gave me like 3 things a week to do. And I trusted him. I came back. I did those 3 things. We came back and talked on Friday. We sorted it all out. 3 more things. So I didn't have to think about transition. I reacted to a mentor telling me what to do and how to do it. That's why I was successful. And that's why I'm so passionate about being a mentor today. I can't mentor everybody, but I can put out simple, actionable steps for the military transition on LinkedIn and sometimes Facebook, but LinkedIn mostly, because I know I was there and I wouldn't have been successful without a mentor.
I love the fact that you brought up mentorship. That is such a big thing. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of the board of directors. You know, everybody should have their own personal board of directors. And in my case, I have multiple boards of directors. So each little facet of my life I'm involved with, I have people that I rely on with expertise in those areas, you know, and I think it's just the value of a
Yeah.
mentor cannot be understated and, I'm sorry, overstated. But I love the approach, you know, 3 things, you know, next week, 3 things, next week, 3 things. That's fantastic. And, you know, you've been posting for years. I'm sure you recycle stuff because it doesn't necessarily go out of style, right? I mean, tips for transition or tips for
Normally
transition.
every 3 months, every quarter, I try to do the same thing because your audience builds, your network builds, and they haven't seen it before. And I do have some folks saying, well, I read it already. That wasn't for you then.
Yeah. And are you sharing what I shared before with other people? I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
you know, pass it on and continue to help them. Man, that's fantastic. So, Kingsley, what do you think, man? Would you have benefited from following Matt's stuff?
Of course, because I know. So, Matt, you just said they use the retention sergeant major. So now I started thinking, I was like, wow, your job was to make sure people stay in the service.
Yes.
So you're helping everybody, but not helping yourself, because that's what leaders do, right? They help everybody. And then when it's time to help this, I'm like, man, what do I need to do for transition? So I
So
know.
that it's funny you mention that because now I wasn't great at my job as a retention sergeant major. And if you speak with some of my peers, I often failed the retention missions because I cared about people enough to say, maybe the military is not for you. Maybe you're that good, you can make it on the outside without having a career in the military. And one of the reasons I needed a mentor leading the military because I had a plan to get out at that 30 years. I had a plan. But that burnout accelerated my plan by 5 years. That's why I needed a mentor. But I was told living in the military that because we were increasing the end strength, that I wasn't the right leader at the time for this job. And at first I hurt my feelings a little bit. I have some feelings, but I thought about it and that made it sense. So if we were decreasing end strength, I focused more on the people and having them transition the right way, where my predecessor was more of a mission maker. He was better at what needed to be at the time. So it all worked out in the end. Yeah. So when that transition accelerates, just jump on the train.
Right. And that's why you're great in this space, because you've seen something that others didn't. Like, you've seen the people like, hey, this maybe not in the Army is the best thing for you. Let's consider transitioning you out. So now look what you're doing. You're helping people in that transition space in a different capacity. So that's why I said where you was at that position, it was good because you actually seen people that will either help the mission or hurt the mission. And like, you know, like if you're gonna do something great, but it's not here. Let's
Yeah.
let's transition you out. So now that you're doing it on the other side of, hey, now that you're transitioned out, let me share information with you that I have attained over the years and that's helped many, and use whatever you can that will help you. But here you are, like you said, you're gonna be in San Antonio going to all these bases. And I don't know the numbers, but I know is a lot of people that's time to transition out, right? Because some people, they said majority of the military service, they only do 1, maybe 2 tours. It's a slight small percentage that will actually go at least 20 years. A very, very small percentage. Majority will come in and do 1, maybe 2 tours, and they have to, do that transition out. But you said I'm going to stand in the gap. I'm going to give them some nuggets to if they have to go dig in their rucksack or dig in their bag to pull out, they're not going to be left wondering aimlessly like, man, I don't know what to do.
So I was a career counselor in the Army, and we're known as the honest brokers. So when I see
I
my
think you
peers
guys spread
today,
that rumor.
I know, because the image of career counselors were, oh, you're the re-up guy, you want me to re-enlist. I wasn't that person. I was trying to be the honest broker, and that's why I wasn't liked for what I did, but I was respected by how I did it, I believe. So getting out now and working in the transit space, this is I'm not saying it's simple, but I needed small actionable steps for my transition. And that's what I try to provide for others, because that's how I learn and digest things. That's how I believe others can too. So I speak to a lot of people, like your colonels and your officers and your senior military, and also junior folks. So I try to stay grounded so I can speak to everybody at different levels.
I love that. And, I joke about retention guys, just like most people joke about, recruiters too, right? It's, but, and I'll say my experience with retention NCOs was probably 50-50. Some had your same mentality, right? What's best for you. And I was like that as a first sergeant, and my sergeant majors didn't like it. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna try to sell him to stay in the Army if he hates the Army. I mean, he's just gonna be miserable. But so I appreciate that approach, because the military's not for everybody.
No.
I applaud anybody who volunteers and joins the military, but you also got to understand that it's not for everybody, and so I love the fact, and I don't want to gloss over the fact that everybody says finding a CW5 is a unicorn. I mean, finding a sergeant major with feelings, I mean, that's got to be up there, right?
Walk on my grass all day long. I'll just mow it again. No big deal, right?
Oh my goodness. All right, so let's talk about something that I'm not going to say is near and dear to my heart, because I learned very early on that PMP was not something I was going to get, and not something I wanted to get. But you've been working with PMI for a long time. That's how I think probably a lot of people know who you are through the stuff you do with PMI. I've heard nothing but great things about the organization, and I know the PMP is a huge benefit, and something that a lot of us as service members can easily qualify for and work through the process to get, because of all the experience we do with various projects and stuff like that. And you alluded to all the projects you had going on, as the sergeant major there. So tell us a little bit about your work with PMI and the organization itself.
So I joined Project Management Institute. It was 4 years ago, so I'm in my 5th year right now, and I never knew what project management was in the military. And it wasn't until a friend of mine asked me to, Corey Burton, she asked me to apply for a job at PMI. My first question was, what's PMI? I had no idea what it was, right? And this was 4.5 years ago. So she talked me through it. I needed a mentor. I needed a good person to speak to my language, what it was. And then the more I spoke to her about that, the more I realized, well, we've been doing this for years. It just makes sense. So when I went through the interview process, and I went through 5 rounds of interviews for this job, right? And people were like, wow, it's a lot of interviews. I couldn't believe you did that. My thing is, I met some great people during the interview process that I still talk with today about the process. So I got to the number 2 guy in the company, and he says, Matt, this role isn't for you. And I was like, I respected that. So I asked why. He said it was a more sales role. We're looking for someone with a better book of business and sales. And I get that. But then he says, everyone loved how you interviewed. We want to bring you on to do something. And right there, first, I didn't believe it, because I have trust issues, So I didn't believe that. But a week later, I get a job offer. At that point, I realized, just because you interview for one job doesn't mean you won't get a job.
Yeah.
People that recognize talent can manage that talent appropriately. And that's what PMI did with me. So very grateful for that. But I'm in PMI now, and I realized that the military, I've been doing this for years. The military has a way of, we create project portfolios. Most people in the military aren't project managers. We call them program managers. It's the same thing, basically, in the military space. The words are interchangeable. But in the real world, there's two different sets of things, projects and programs. But what I do now is really, I let people know, I build awareness, one thing, because I was unaware when I was in. So I build awareness for those who don't know what it is yet. And we have a pathway. We have a journey map of how you get from X to Y to Z. Not everyone needs a PMP certification. I'll be honest. Those are your project professionals. I am not a project manager by trade. I'm not. So I earned my CAPM, which is a certified associate in project management. The CAPM is for everybody that's involved in projects. I'm involved in a lot of projects. So is the military. That's where I see the difference in the CAPM, the PMP. We also have more senior level stuff, but I want folks to know that you've been doing this for years. And I thought it was a whole language difference, but honestly, it's an accent. I'm from New York, so my New Yorkese comes out when I'm excited or I'm mad. But in the project profession, in the military world, we're doing the same things. It's a different language or accent. That's all it really comes down to. So if I can be that bridge for our military, from the military to the project profession, that's what I'll be for the next 10 years, and I'll be happy.
That's awesome. And I've never heard it referred to as an accent. I absolutely love that reference there. Speaking of accents, Kings, you going to break out the Brooklynese on them?
Yeah, I'm going to say, oh,
no,
man.
I heard it already.
and that's, wow. That is to where how you could connect with people and let them know that what you've done in the past, this how it relates to what you want to do or what's being asked for now. Because what I've seen in the transition space in my short time and it, me going through it, I did not know I was, in law enforcement, but I didn't know I could translate that skill set to what I'm doing now. Like I'm speaking to people and I was an investigator, right? So I didn't even know, like, hey, have you ever thought about, but Sean seen it in me. He said, hey, how about you think about joining the VET S.O.S podcast? I'm like, me? I said, I don't know. He said, you got it inside of you. He said, man, just come on for a little bit. But he's seen it. You see it in people. Like, don't just think about one aspect or PMI. Like, no, there's other ways that you could use your skill set. And companies and hiring, they're looking for that because they're looking for the you. Like you said it yourself, man. You said you got to the number 2 person in the company. It's like, hey, this role is not for you, but you interviewed well. So we're gonna make a position. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna open up a position and we want you to lead that position because the way how you interview, because you always on a interview, always.
Oh yeah. And I had 25 years in the military as HR. I was a admin person. I was recruiting. I was retention. I never worked projects. So I look at myself as an HR professional turned project professional only because someone mentioned what it was and I learned about it. So I immersed myself into the community. And immersion is the best way to learn anything. Like if I'm going to like another country, there's a few words that I'm going to learn. And one of them is bathroom. I need to learn that information before I get there because this happens, But so learn that information. Immersion is how you best learn anything. And that's the PMI community.
Yeah, people joke about being thrown in the fire, right? But I mean, you're going to learn pretty quick. That's fantastic. So I know there's different options out there if you want to pursue a PMP or any other kind of certification. So give me the or give us all the pitch for why is PMI the place that we should go to get a PMP or to get a different version of the certification?
PMI is a gold standard. PMI is the largest, most influential industry out there for the project profession. We've been around for like 60 plus years now. It's a 501c6 not-for-profit organization, and we invest in our community. The thing I learned about PMI is PMI doesn't push things down to the community. Like, we have 150 plus chapters in North America. It's a lot of chapters, and these are all volunteers. Our community is really the superpower of PMI. The ones that are volunteering and they're running these chapters, and they're all over the country. I say that because when I look at like opportunities to be a mentor, or if you want a mentee, be a mentee, there's so many opportunities out there. But when it comes to a globally recognized certification, PMP is that, and PMI is that. But PMI doesn't push things out to companies. We talk with our communities. They like the current PMBOK guide, which is our guiding principles, frameworks, that kind of thing. So it's like our Army regulations. You know how the Army pushes information out to the fields? PMI says, hey, field, hey, community, let's come together and develop the best practices for our community. We'll brand it and push out to everybody. So the community builds this stuff. And like when you talked with like job descriptions, the whole HR community, like SHRM, HRCI, they're now recognizing the power of the project management professional certifications, and we're seeing that now in more job applications or job descriptions, not as like required, but preferred or recommended for non-project manager roles because the framework's already there. For instance, the military transition is a project. It's a multi-year project. It has a start date, a plan, there's resources, milestones, a desired outcome, which is being successful, maybe landing a job. But if you wait until the last 6 months to plan your transition, you're already behind.
Yes.
These are the things that PMI puts into practice and puts out to people because most things in life are a project. For instance, a family vacation is a project. Start date, end date, normally a budget. What's your scope? Me, personally, I always go over budget. I would be a terrible project manager. But that's because I love my wife and kids and stuff like that, so I will splurge on them during my vacation. But that's not an effective project manager, though.
Right. You're absolutely right, though. Everything's a project, and I get a lot of grief for the efforts of planning I put into some things. Like we planned this Christmas dinner for a veteran organization, and I had it by the minute, like take the ham out of the freezer to defrost, and and people are like, "Whoa, this is a little." Follow the list. Just follow the list. We'll be successful. Hey, everything came out on time. That's all I got to say. But I mean, I love this. I really do. And one of the things I'd love for you to speak on real briefly, if you could, is since you work for PMI, you've been in the transition space, the importance of professional certifications. What not every, but all these fields have different certifications, and a lot of them tie into the different MOSs we had in the military and things like that. So things that we could get before we get out of the military. But it seems like I've only been out 3 years, and even when I was getting out, a lot of people weren't looking at the certification process. So what's your feeling on these professional certifications?
This is the mindset shift the military has to adapt to. In the military, we're like, hey, get your degree. It's always about college education. But in outside of the military, certifications are a continuous learning. You can get a degree 30 years ago. I have my degree. But have you been continuously learning over the years? To maintain a PMP or any PMI certification, to maintain any professional certification, you need professional development units or continuing education units. You need those because you have to maintain those things over a 3-year period or whatever it is. So I personally, if I was to go back in the military and do it again, I would have earned my bachelor's degree for promotion to sergeant major. I would have earned that. But I also would have added to that with professional certifications like SHRM, for instance. They have great certs for HR, which I was. But then I would have get my CAPM and probably my PMP too, because getting out with that information or that in your name, it lets you walk into an organization saying you're qualified. Sean, as a first sergeant or as a sergeant major, you walk into an organization, they see that. They see your rank. They know you're qualified. Well, they believe you're qualified. You can do different things and say you're not, but they think you're qualified. And that is a huge step up from, hey, I'm just a nobody coming in with nothing. So I have 2 kids. They're in their 20s. I say, listen, a degree will take you 4 years to get. Professional certification can take you 6 weeks, but a PMP, you have to have 3 years of experience. So that experience, they validate that experience. So professional certifications validate your experience because these aren't just something you apply for and you get. You have to earn these things and maintain them. That's why professional certifications are so critical in today's world. There's no competition between degrees and certifications. I speak on both because I have both. If I was to do it again, I would have always did the and. Degree and. This and. That way you're set up for success faster. In the transition space, I would look back to my career 3 years earlier, and I would have got a certification earlier in my career. I know folks right now want to get it as they leave the military or as they're veterans because it looks new, shiny, and fresh. But if you got that PMP, let's say, for instance, 3 years earlier, that means you had 3 years experience to earn that, 3 more years of experience with the PMP.
Yep.
That's what employers want, experience, not a brand new certification.
Well said. Very well said. And I'm with you. I'm a proponent of, college education. There's benefit there. I get it. College, like the military, not for everybody. There's also, vocational schools, whatever you can go to.
Yeah.
But then the certifications, if you do it the right way, they add a thing to it, man. They add a level and, um, validate your experience. So I really like that. Kings, I know we're getting down to the end, man. We got to take it out here shortly. What, you got any final thoughts here?
Hey, what Matt said is huge. Continuing education. Definitely one of the things, and definitely in the tech space, right? It's you have to have that and, right? I could speak a little bit about the tech spaces. Okay, you have a 4-year degree. You know how fast technology moves in 4 years?
You're already outdated.
Technology is lightning fast. Like, heck, even 60 days ago, some stuff that's going on now and technology wasn't around 60 days ago. So that certification, like you said, Matt, like just to show that you're still able to professionally grow. I believe that's what companies and hiring managers want to see. Hey, what are you doing to continue your growth? Are you stagnant? If the answer is no, okay, where's your certification? What else have you done? Are you still going off of old information and relying on that? You said earlier in the podcast that you recycle your information because you have new people coming onto your platform that never heard about your information. So it's new to them, but it's not new to others. And what you say, well, it's not for you, but did you share it? However, did you share it? Right? You heard it before, but you use it for your time, but it's somebody new that's coming in. And I believe that's what certifications tells that portion of the story and journey. Right? Okay, you learned something. Now, what are you adding to that? What new information are you bringing to the fight?
I like that. And veterans, when they transition, they're not starting over. They're starting ahead, realistically speaking.
Yep, I 100% agree, man. So, Kingsley, as you get ready to take us out, man, Matt, how can people get a hold of you? How can they follow you? How can they learn what you got and learn more about PMI?
So I am primarily on LinkedIn. So follow me there, Matt Quick. It's very simple. But if you want to start with all your free resources when it comes to the project profession, AI courses, so many courses are for free, go to pmi.org/military. Again, we make it very easy. pmi.org/military. Get all your information for free, and that's where you start your journey out.
I'll concur with that. I actually forgot about that. I followed your advice like 4 years ago and went
Yeah,
to
kickoff?
I went to that. I did the kickoff and realized, yeah, I'm not going to get a PMP. So it was helpful, to help, guide my transition to where I was going to go. But, that free resource was definitely very valuable for me and helped me see what I wanted to do.
And
So,
Sean, the military teaches us how to execute under pressure.
Mhm.
Project management teaches us how to translate that into military careers. That's why it's important.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. 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 And on behalf of the entire VET S.O.S network, Matt, we thank you. We thank you for coming in and giving us that peek underneath the tent of saying how to be part of that, what you want to be a part of. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a lot of times we don't know where to look, but you made it real simple. Hey, go to the website /military. Use your free resources first before you have to go to the other route, but at least build that foundation. Work on, if you have when you have a strong foundation, everything else is structured appropriately and it just lock in. Think of it as Legos. You just building Legos. You said, look, hey, I tell Sean
Perfect.
I'm a person of analogy, right? Like that's how my brain works. Like just think of it as building Legos, but you need to have that hard concrete that's settled in. What they say, take about 7 years for concrete to get that solidified, like where it's not shifted. Yeah. Once you get that foundation, just keep building upon that.
That's right.
And one
Foundation
of the
important.
places, and that is important. And that's why we say here at the VET S.O.S Podcast Network, don't have to drop in the sea of transition. You grab that lifeline. Matt Quick got it. Like, look, Matt, look. That should be like a tagline. Who got it? Matt Quick. If you want to get stuff quick, reach out to Matt. Yeah, Matt Quick. He'll get it to you quick. He'll get it to you quick. The information you need is quick and easy. Go to the website. Reach out to Matt. It's very easy to find him. Don't have to drown in the sea of transition. Grab that lifeline. Like, subscribe, share. And if you heard about something here and somebody didn't know about it, let them know about it. Matt said it earlier. Somebody can, oh yeah, I heard your stuff before, but hey, did you tell somebody else? So I'm challenging all the listeners and viewers. If you heard it before, share it with somebody. And if you haven't heard it before, guess what? You're here now and you're hearing it for the first time. Now it's time to execute on the mission.
No excuses.
No excuses. Until next time, everybody, we're here. Reach out. Peace.